So we are on page 4 today. In your packet, it might say lesson 35. Mine does. It is lesson 38. So we're starting word problems. We're going to do this today and tomorrow. They're not as bad as they look. On this page, there's a ton of writing, but I don't know. I like them. A lot of things in our real life are not linear. They're not the y equals mx plus b model. So if you look at the paragraph on top, it says there are many things in the real world that grow faster as they grow larger or decrease slower as they get smaller. These types of things are known as exponential growth and decay. So in today's lesson, we're going to look at both. Remember, you need to also include this in your packet and answer the questions on Edpuzzle as you follow along with the lesson. So it says the number of people who have heard a rumor often grows exponentially. Consider a rumor that starts with 3 people, where the number of people who have heard it doubles each class period. So doubles means you multiply times 2. So part A says, why does it make sense that the number of people who have heard a rumor would grow exponentially? Answer that question in Edpuzzle. Why does it make sense? The number of people who have heard a rumor would grow exponentially. Okay, so what I put, as more people learn about the rumor, even more people will spread it. They'll tell more people, and they'll tell more people. You may have written something else. So part B says, fill in the table below for the number of people who know the rumor after it had spread a certain number of class periods. So always our first row is X and our second row is Y. So X stands for time, the class period, and N stands for the number of people. So 0 is like when you get to school. So 3 people know the rumor, and then it doubles. So you can see when you times 2, you get 6. So I'm going to put times 2. Times 2 again, and you get 12. Times 2 is 24. Times 2 is 48. And then multiply by 2, and you get 96. Now we have to make a formula or an equation. You are very welcome to put this into your stat button. In school, we would do stat edit, or you can use the Delta Math option that we did yesterday. But if you know the trick or how this works, it's much quicker to just write your equation. So here's how we do this. What we did yesterday, and make sure you're writing this down, we have y equals a times b to the x. So in word problem world, we have our starting number is a, start number. Our b is the multiply rate, mult, and x is the exponent. So if you look back at the word problem, so it starts with 3 people, and the multiply rate is double. So my equation now is going to be y equals start is 3, multiply rate is 2. So this equation is perfect the way it is, but now to answer word problems, it will probably be easier if we use the letters in the problem. So instead of x, I'm going to put a p, and instead of y, I'm going to put an n. So n equals 3 times 2 to the p. So remember, p stands for period, n stands for the number of people. Now, I do want to change letter b because the number gets really, really, really big. So part B, your packet says how many people would know the rumor after 5 school days? I want to change that to 2 school days. So over in your Edpuzzle question, I want you to answer, in 2 school days, how many class periods do we have? So in 2 school days, there's 8 periods each day, so we're going to go with 16. If you had put 18, like counting lunch as a period, that's fine. But for this, we're going to go with 16. So I have my equation right here. Okay, I'm going to substitute a 16 in here. N equals 3 times 2 to the 16. Now, I'm going to put this in. I'm going to use my Delta Math calculator. You could use your cell phone calculator if you know how to do exponents. Totally fine. Okay. So I'm not in the statistics calculator at all. I'm on Delta Math, and I'm just going to hit the calculator button, and then this will pop up. Let's see if I can make that smaller. So now I'm going to type 3. You can use parentheses if you want, or you can just use the multiply symbol. 3 times 2. To get the exponent, it's not, they don't have the little caret, the little triangle thing here. It's A with an exponent of B. If you click this, it'll just do a squared. Back out of that. So I'm going to hit A to the B, and then I'm going to type, what did we have, 16? Enter. And then over here on the left, it gives you your answer, 196,608. So I'm going to write 196,608. So that means 196,608 people would know the rumor in our school after 2 days. Now, I want you to write just a sentence or a phrase on your Ed puzzle. Does this seem like a reasonable answer? That 196,608 people would know a rumor in our school after 2 days. If you think it is reasonable, explain why. If you think it's not reasonable, explain why. So to me, this doesn't make sense. For one, we don't have 196,000 people in our school. And really, we might think they're good rumors, but they're not that exciting where that many people would want to know our business. Let's move on to the next page. Okay, we got Bob. Bob is heading towards a windmill in a very strange way. He starts 160 feet from the windmill. On his first trip, he walks half the distance. So we're cutting that distance in half. On the next trip, he walks half of what is left. On each consecutive, that means in order, trip, he walks half the distance he has left. We are going to model the distance D that Bob has remaining to the windmill after N trips. Oops. So we're going to fill in the table, and it's started. N is the number of trips, and D is the distance. Remember, this is like X, and this is Y. So we start at 160, and then we cut it in half. Think divide by 2. So we keep dividing by 2, and this is what I get. Oops, that's a 10. It's a pretty bad 10. So for part B, it says each entry in the table could be found by multiplying. We don't have a divide rate. We have a multiply rate. So if we divide by 2, that is the same thing as multiply. If you're dividing by something, just put a 1 over it, and then there's your multiply rate. Multiply by 1/2. Like if we divide by 3, we're multiplying by 1/3. So now we can make our formula. Y equals the starting number times the multiply rate to the X. So instead of X and Y, I'm going to use the D and the N because they go here. So Y equals, our starting is 160. Our multiply rate over here is 1/2. And then instead of an X, I'm going to put an N. Now part D, or my bad, there is no D, part E. How far from the windmill will Bob be after 10 trips? Provide a calculation that justifies your answer, and don't forget the units. So we're talking about feet. So see if you can use our equation over here to find out how far he would be after 10 trips, and write what you get on the side in Edpuzzle. So here we have D equals 160 times 1/2, and number of trips is 10. So I'm going to go back to my Delta Math, and here I'm going to type one, why isn't it doing the, there we go, 160 times, to do a fraction, you just do like 1/2. I'm going to do 1 divided by 2, and it automatically makes the fraction. 1/2 exponent 10. And I got 0.15625. Feet. So when you have feet, 1 foot is 12 inches. So this isn't even an inch. So in reality, he would be able to touch the windmill. But in math world, he still has a little bit of distance left. So I cut out a lot of things. We're on G, there's no F. Explain why Bob will never reach the windmill. So answer this question on the side in your Edpuzzle. Why will Bob never reach the windmill? And I put he'll always have half the distance left. No matter how small it is, it's still a teeny tiny bit of distance.